need to go to the...
Fever gone down.
I think we have to call her.
What is that? Oh, man. We gotta get to a...
Maybe I shouldn't have juice after my pills.
We should probably ask you.
You've got healthcare options nearby. Get to know them better.
And he called the hall, asked for me to call home right away. I called home. He says, you better get home. I'm having pains in my chest. I can't get my breath. Now, my husband also has Parkinson's, and he has a congestive heart. So I drove home as quickly as I could, got him in the car, got him to emergency. They got him into an examining room, and the doctor come into the room and says, what's the problem? You have pains in your chest. What did you do? He says, well, I have been eating some walnuts. Something got stuck in my throat. I couldn't get my breath. I took a drink of water. I threw the water up. When I threw it up, there was blood. And I started with pains in my chest. I called my wife to come and get me. He looked at me, he says, why did you bring him here?
Who was Riley? She was much more than the 40-year-old T who was killed as a result of the accident of Boxing Day. Riley, as you know, died on December 27 as a result of injuries that caused internal bleeding that were sustained in a motor vehicle accident. Riley was a passenger in this vehicle, and the accident occurred on Highway 3 at Nye Road. The accident was a result of weather conditions that evening, namely icy roads. There are so many questions that are still not answered, and it is very hard to watch the absolutely agonizing grief of her parents, her brother, her family, and her very many friends. She was a great debater who always won her arguments. And perhaps her legacy is to find justice in this community so that similar tragedies in the future can be avoided. I recall the night that my mother spoke at the Leisureplex before a community gathering of 5,000 people to try and convince Dr. Kitts that the closure of Fort Erie's ER and hospital were a mistake. Many spoke of the loss of life that could happen. And when my mom came home that evening, we too talked about what's going to happen when people begin to die in this community, never realizing that it would be our own. Now we wonder if Riley is one of the faces to this greatest fear. We know that Riley was alive following the accident. We understand that she sustained internal injuries, including a broken pelvis that resulted in internal bleeding. We understand from the police that she was alive when she entered the ambulance and was talking with the ambulance officers and was coherent. We understand that she went into hemorrhagic shock, which requires immediate blood transfusions. We understand that just as she was arriving at the Welland Hospital, she died. Riley required massive blood transfusions, something that cannot be done in an ambulance, and something that can only be done in a hospital. And we wonder, as all of us in the community do, if the closure of the Douglas Memorial site and the Port Colborne site played a direct role in Riley's death, given the extra time that it took to transport her to the Welland Hospital. We wonder if time was a factor in obtaining the critical blood transfusions that she needed while she was still alive, to stabilize her condition so that she could be transferred to a trauma center. I personally believe that it could have made a difference. We all know that minutes count in critical life-threatening situations. Riley's parents have asked the coroner for an inquest into her death to determine if time was a factor, given the closure of the ER in Fort Erie and Fort Colborne. They know that nothing is going to bring Riley back, but they don't want anyone else in this community to have to walk the path they've had to walk. Thank you.
Well,